25 says, in problems 25 through 32, use the given functions f and g. And then we have many steps to follow. Okay, so number 25 in section 4.5, function f is x squared minus 1. Function g is 3x plus 3. Part A says solve f of x equals 0. So we would take our function f of x squared minus 1 equals 0. You can solve it by either moving it over and square rooting, or I'm just solving it by factoring. So what are the answers? 1 and negative 1. Okay, now let's go to part B. B says solve g of x equals 0. So I'm going to go 3x plus 3 equals 0. So 3x equals negative 3, sorry. So x equals negative 1. C says solve for f of x equals g of x. So f of x is x squared minus 1. G of x is 3x plus 3. It's a quadratic, so let's get everything on the same side. X squared minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and solve by factoring. So x minus 4 and x plus 1. Does that work? So our solutions are positive 4 and negative 1. D, now we're getting into inequalities. Solve f of x is greater than 0. So x squared minus 1 is greater than 0. So we just barely found where x equals 0. If we use the method of the section, which is to graph this function, this is a quadratic with 1, 0 at negative 1 and 1 at positive 1. And the graph would look something like that. So where, I missed my points, but close. Where would this graph be greater than 0? What x values? Above? What x values will be greater than 0? Negative infinity to negative 1 and 1 to infinity is the parts of the graph that are above the x-axis. Okay. E, we want to solve g of x is less than or equal to 0. So 3x plus 3 is less than or equal to 0. Since this one is just a linear function, we can just go for it. 3x is less than or equal to negative 3, which means x is less than or equal to negative 1. What's another way of writing that answer? Negative infinity to negative 1 closed. Right? Next, f. Solve f of x is greater than g of x. So f of x is x squared minus 1 greater than 3x plus 3. So now I'm going to move everything over again. So x squared minus 3x minus 4 is greater than 0. Did I already solve this one and find the intercepts on part C? Yeah, see, part C, we already found those intercepts. So the intercepts are positive 4 and negative 1. Well, what direction is this quadratic facing? Which way does it go? It goes upward. What direction is our sign? It looks greater than to me. Greater than 0. So where's the solution? Negative infinity to where? Negative infinity to negative 1, and then 4 to infinity. Because again, it's the pieces that are above the x-axis, right? Okay, and then G is solve f of x is greater than or equal to 1. So we take our function x squared minus 1 is greater than or equal to 1. So what do we want to do with that? Subtract it to the other side so that that's greater than 0. Or maybe I should have gone the other direction. Okay, because if I go the other direction, x squared is greater than or equal to 2, then that gives x is greater than the square plus or minus square root of 2. And then we would graph that. So here's negative square root of 2, and here's positive square root of 2. And again, our parabola is positive, so going upward. So since it's greater than, once again, greater than means that it will be from negative infinity to negative square root of 2. What do we put at the end of this one? Brackets. Why? Because there's an equal sign. Positive square root of 2 to infinity, close parenthesis. Done. Yes.